All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ruach HaKodesh, the Moannas, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth. And I'm going to just make this one short and sweet, because like as brothers have been quoting, the deceived and the deceiver are both his. All right. And, the thing about a lot, you're not supposed, this is another reason why you're not supposed to have divisions, because then this is the kind of madness that pops up. And, it's all through the spirit, though. It's all through the spirit, because you get a lot of people like this in Israel who they're still on this spiritual high school type of shit of saying this stuff just for clicks and likes and views and all this shit. This is Colossians 4 and 5. It says, walk in wisdom toward them that are without, redeeming the time. And that's the thing about it is, we're in a time where this shit is coming to a close. Esau's plan is coming to a close. Hey, one of the prophecies we always go into is the so-called chip. The mark of the beast. Everything you're seeing now has an electronic payment form. You know what I'm saying? That's something that's newly introduced. It didn't used to be like that. Everything though now is an electronic payment form for it. Everything's connected. Everything's hooked up. Everything's ready to go. We're just, waiting on Esau to come with his plan and, his angles for how he's going to it's probably going to be, in my opinion, in the second term of Donald Trump. But it could be, before that time. You never know. This year started off with a bang, and it's just knowing the time that we're living in. All right, because look at this. This guy's got the $400 horn. He got the $400 Torah scroll. It might be more because that's a huge scroll. He's got the menorah. It just looks, these guys, they look like money, but the shit that you're saying, man. Well, let's see what the scriptures say. Verse 6, let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt. And that's the thing about doing the right thing and staying on the right path. When you're flowing in the spirit is constantly on you. You're constantly pushing. You're constantly reading. You're constantly reviewing. You know what I'm saying? You constantly have righteous brothers around you who are telling you and edifying you. You grow. You grow. And you become seasoned with salt. You know what I'm saying? You become more seasoned. You can always spot a seasoned warrior, versus the new guy, the hothead, the guy who's just hot just to say some shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like basketball, the guy he's just excited. Which there's nothing wrong with being excited, but he's just too hot. The guy who comes out to the camp and every verse, he's got to yell and But when you watch, one thing about it, you watch the apostles now and the elders. It's a very seasoned and precise spiritual attack, on the wicked strongholds that are set up. It's very seasoned. You know what I'm saying? Like watching a martial arts master. He's very calm, cool, collected, but everything is still deadly. All right, and that's one thing that me first and foremost, I've been learning as I go. Sometimes you gotta watch your words. You gotta watch what you say. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta shut up. That really is an important lesson. All right, but back to this. It says that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. And people are gonna. This is something new. This is something that's been said. It's gonna have to go to the whole world, out before the whole world. And so we know that there are scoffers out there, scorners, and people talking shit, but you also have legitimate questions. You also have people who become in your congregation. They're going to ask you legit questions. They're going to ask you off the wall shit. They're going to ask you, stuff that you wouldn't think is important. And so you have to know how to answer questions. You have to know how to be, because we're set up to be priests. We're set up to be judges. You know, that's us. The righteous man judges everything, but is judged by no man. You know, we're set up to judge and assess certain things. So you have to have a certain level of judiciousness. All right. That's why one thing the scripture says, what? Gain the love of the congregation. That's not, matter of fact, let me get that. Let me get that, and I might close it off on that. Because, hey, one thing we're reading, me and some different brothers were going through some of the Old Testament and some of the laws of the priests and things on vows and all of that kind of stuff. Well, Aaron and Moses, they got further on in the trip, they got frustrated with Israel, because Israel was being wicked, and Israel was complaining and shit. And then they didn't do, they lost faith, and they didn't do what the Most High necessarily wanted them to do. He wanted them to, touch the rock and cause water to flow from it, and then instead, Moses, I believe, hit it with a rod, and then, the Most High became angry, and he requested a meeting with him. And he had Aaron take his robes off, give his robes to his son. Aaron was brought up to the spirit world. And then, later, Moses actually saw the Holy Land. He saw Jerusalem, or he saw Israel, the land of Israel, but he wasn't allowed to go into it. All right, and that's the case with us. You know what I'm saying? We have the understanding, we have the teaching and all the things that are up, but that doesn't guarantee you a spot, as the elect. That doesn't guarantee you anything. You could still, just like Aaron, your robes could be stripped off. Hey, Salaki too. I'm trying to find this. That's why it's important to think, and Scripture talks about evaluating yourself, because that's really your worst enemy is self. Because the heart, the script. Oh, I gotta get that too. Because Jake will bug out. This is Sirach 37:14. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, "But be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry." Right? You want a real friend by you. You want real brothers by you now. That's just according to the Spirit. You want brothers around you with a mind like yours. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have people around you, with dark sunglasses and they're trying to use something, for clickbait and all this clout chasing shit. You don't want that shit around you, polluting the gospel. The gospel is said to be like silver, purified, 7 times. It says, "And let the counsel of thine own heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it." And that's talking about your mind, but based off of the commandments of the scriptures, because the heart can be deceitful too. It said, "For a man's mind is sometime want to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower." Yep. "And above all this, pray to the Most High that he will direct thy way in truth." There you go. "Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action." And this stuff is all simple, but that's just the facts, man. Sometimes, your mind, you get that mental fog, That's what me and the brother say. You get that brain fog or whatever. You know, sometimes your mind is racing too far, but it should never race to the point where you're polluting or you're, you know, basically talking shit to the congregation of the Lord. The scriptures talk about offending his little ones. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures talk about basically how everybody who was appointed to a priest or a ruler or something, they still had to have a certain level of respect for the people of Israel, because it's the Lord's people at the end of the day. And that's it, man. It's just something quick. You know, it's just, you know, we're coming to a time where the spirit is building up, and the scriptures talk about evil men waxing worse and worse. You know what I'm saying? So whoever this video might hit, you know, Lord willing, it be edifying unto you. All right, it's time to get right. It's time to cut the bullshit. It's the especially, oh, the brothers have been talking about it. The Passover's coming up. That time is coming up. So, and things are being stirred up. All right, Shalom.